What's going on, everyone? This
What's
is
going
Jonathan with
on?
Cinco
What's
Squad with
going
my
on?
boys,
What's
Mike
going
DeSanto,
on?
Grandpa Jay. My Wi-Fi sucks, so if I'm choppy tonight, I apologize. Never to get AT&T.
He's
Screw
already
them.
chopping it up.
So, how's your guys' night going so far? Sorry about the slight delay, everyone, but we're
Like a
here.
Houston rapper,
We're
he's trying
live.
to chop and screw this show. What up?
I see what you did there. That's going all right. Currently, we sit at a 2-2 tie between the Devils and Hurricanes. Let's go Canes. Hopefully, I'm hoping Toronto comes back against Florida. But overall, I'm doing all right. Jay, how you doing?
I'm splendid. I'm actually home for the show. I escaped the gates of the chlorine kingdom.
Oh,
And
no.
I am in the home comforts of my apartamento. So I'm doing great.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's
John, how you
been a
doing?
great week of playoffs, and we're having some great games. Hockey playoff second round has not been entertaining at all. It's been like up and down throughout the whole one. It's like either 4-0, 5-1, or the other way. It's like the teams flip flop each game. So we'll get into
Well,
that
it
a
was
little bit
2-1
later.
last night, right? That Florida-Toronto game was pretty
Well, the
competitive.
Florida Toronto series is the only series that's really been competitive. The rest have been really back and forth. They have not been competitive at all. It's either been like 8-4, 7-2. It's like, what the hell? Like, what's going on with these guys? So,
Carolina Devils series has been wild.
But we got to figure out what's in my cup first of all. So I'm probably choppy at this point. But Mike, what's in your cup?
Again, we have another week where it's not exactly a cup, but we have ourselves a Smirnoff Ice Red, White, and
I thought
berry.
it was a bottle at first. I thought he had a bottle. He was like an actual.
Like a bottle.
Like he pulled it up. It didn't. All I saw was like a
You
bottle.
can get a bottle of straight vodka.
What flavor is it, Mike?
Red, white, and berry. Because I'm a patriot.
Is it berry tasty?
Oh, it's
Wait a
berry
minute.
delicious.
Mike's a patriot. I thought you were a Giants fan. Oh, okay. And now he's a Patriots fan.
No, I'm an American patriot. I'm a Giants fan.
You said it.
The Giants are America's team. There. No. Why would I be a fan of a team that lost twice in the Super Bowl to the Giants?
They need extra.
Touche.
And once to the Eagles. Let us not forget that.
They beat the Eagles once. So.
So that's good. No, it's delicious.
Good.
It's actually very.
If anybody cares, I'm back on my Vita Coco kick.
Vita Coco.
I still got the gallon over here.
Yes. Metal milk jug.
Yes.
Cinco milk. There it is.
Well,
but yes, that's what's in my cup.
And we are Cinco Squad, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
We are a little late tonight. We apologize. But let's get it over to Jay with his bets of the week. Let him know what's. I'll get you on the big screen, Jay. Don't worry.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Last week, I think we were 3-2. Dropped a couple games, or 4-1. It might have been 4-1 last week. I think I dropped one game. I think it may have been one of the hockey games where I took the under and should have taken the over at that point because I think it was goals galore in the series. So we are going to go to the ice for 2 games. John and I just debated it before the show. I actually think Toronto shows up and wins one home game in this series, and then Florida ends up getting a gentleman's sweep. So I'm going with Toronto at home to give the home fans something to cheer about. Yeah. And I'm taking the Oilers on the road tomorrow night. They looked really good last night. Watched the second period. They seem to be keeping Vegas in check. And they have the best superstar in the game. So I think they get it done in Game 5 and take it home to try and get that series closed up. And let's take it across to John's part of the woods, where I think the Miami Heat close out the series tomorrow night. They gave the Knicks – I didn't think they gave the Knicks their best shot. They just wouldn't go away last night, and they were a Kyle Lowry field goal away. He had 2 chances from almost tying that game and probably clinching the game in the series in New York. I think they take that game by a comfortable 8 to 10-point margin, so I'd take Miami to cover. I think it's 5.5. And then I'm going across the pond. Give me the Arsenal Gunners over Brighton Hovian, because I think Arsenal right now only has one thing to play for, and that's trying to compete to win the league. And then if you want a real gimme and you only want to make one bet tomorrow, take the Astros over the White Sox, because the White Sox absolutely suck right now. So that is my lock of the week, which is the Astros over the White Sox tomorrow night. But to sum it up real quick, on the ice, I like the Oilers on the road. I like the Maple Leafs at home. I love Miami at home to close out the series. Give me the Arsenal Gunners at home to beat Brighton Hove at least by 2 goals. And give me those Astros, because them White Sox ain't playing no baseball right now. That is the lock of the week. Lock it in there. Get those bets in. Tell me if you win. Send Cinco Squad a donation.
Yes.
we need new Wi-Fi. So,
yeah. Speaking of new Wi-Fi, real quick, a guy came to demo a product yesterday. A guy from Denmark who's he brought his son to the States for the first time, and oddly enough, I said, "Tell me about Denmark growing up." He's like, "I love basketball." I was like, "Mike," he's like, "You have no idea." He's like, "When I was talking to my son about like the beauty of watching Michael Jordan," he goes, "There's 2 things that bring tears to my eyes." He goes, "It was having a son, and it was Michael Jordan." He's like, "The way that he saw Mike and like the way he played the game literally brought tears to his eyes, as for like he was just one of a kind." And it's nice to talk to someone who kind of grew up with him. He said when he broke his ankle in the second year, he was like crying. He's like, "Oh no, he's never going to get back." And he saw like footage of him doing water therapy and getting back there. And he was just a huge fan. So it's cool to talk to someone, meet someone new. He had a great product he showed us. It's like a camera product for filming swimmers and stuff. That's really cool concept. So we might go ahead and invest in it, and maybe I can get him on the show to talk about it at some point too. So, but yeah, really nice to talk to someone who got to witness his airness from the inside.
I have a story too to tell. So we're looking at houses tonight, right? And I'm sitting there, we're going through houses, and like we see all these like baseballs, like signed baseballs all over the place. I'm just thinking this guy's a huge fan, right? And I'm like, okay, so we go into the 1 bedroom, we look, okay, nice, and then I look TV center, and I see this like gold thing, and I'm like, what the fuck? What's this? I was like, Malin, holy fuck, that's a gold glove. They're like someone whoever passed away had a gold glove in their house. Then I look over to the other side. There's 2 gold gloves in the fucking cabinets. I'm like, what the fuck? Ooh. I think it was Malin might be able to comment on this, but I think it was something Ramirez, Miguel Ramirez or something like that.
Aramis
for the
Ramirez?
Yankees? No.
Aramis Ramirez?
No, older guy. Not this generation, bro.
Way back, okay.
Way back. But he had 2 gold gloves. I was like, holy shit. Like, man, 2 gold gloves.
Test here, so.
No, I mean, I can't, Malin will remember the name. If she's watching, she'll comment here soon. But I was just like, holy shit. And like, we were like, we had to get to our next appointment. And we're just standing there, and like, I hope the lady doesn't think we're just trying to like look around, like look in things. But I'm like a fandom, like, holy shit, there's a gold glove sitting right here. And I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah, but what do you think of the house? No, the house.
Hold on, Malin.
Do the gold gloves come with it? Do the gold gloves come in the house?
Buy that house.
I thought that was a really cool thing. I was like, oh, that's sweet.
Yeah,
but
that's awesome.
Is cool. It is cool to hear about like old stories about like, and the reason why I wish there was like, whoever was there, I could have talked to, and they're like, oh, what's the story behind this? Those type of things. But it's always good to hear those old stories, like when people actually saw Michael live, in person, which was cool. So I always find those stories interesting. But we got to move on to our first topic. We got plenty to talk about, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We got a bunch of comments in here. Let's go to our main man, Garrick. Let's go, Kraken. Woo. Hey, Garrick, I've been calling them all series. So where you been?
Kraken, baby.
He's got Dubs and 7.
You got the Dubs and 7. I like that pick.
Yes, they are. Tottenham is getting top 5.
Hell no.
Arsenal bobbled it.
That was to be expected. And all of a sudden, City is now in line to win the treble. And it's just a typical Pep Guardiola thing. And they probably will.
Steelers are going 10-7. I don't believe so, Garrick. And then we got
Christopher. One thing's they're going 13-4, bro. I'm with you. What up?
Yeah.
Hey, Christopher.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know about that. I don't know about the Steelers going 10-7. I said they're going to run away with that division. So
run away at 13-4.
Yeah, here the Cincinnati
13-4.
The Bengals now sit as the 3rd highest odds to make the playoffs in the entire AFC in Vegas.
Yeah,
they're not right now. Right now, Vegas doesn't even have the Steelers.
When has odds ever been raised? Who?
The Steelers. They don't have them making the playoffs. The Bengals and Ravens both make the playoffs out of that division.
And the Chiefs have the highest odds.
And the Chiefs have the highest because
they also have Patrick Mahomes as the potential #1 fantasy player of 2023 season. So
Wasn't he number one last year?
Overall? No.
Was he number one overall last year or no?
No, it was
must have been one of the running backs.
Jalen Hurts was one for a pretty long time until he got hurt.
Hurts was one.
Well, because he can run. Because a lot of times, like the running and throwing. Is always.
Had Lamar been healthy, he might have been.
Yeah, it was
for the dual
flirting with it. I'm trying to remember if you may be right. Was it Mahomes that ended up being?
I think so. If you know out there and you're watching, let us know.
Yeah, let us know. Yeah.
But let's get on to our NBA talk here. We got Jay's topic of the week. Does your perspective on the NBA bubble year change with the Final Four still in play? So basically, the Final Four that were in the bubble are still in play. Boston is leading currently, so they're trying to not get eliminated tonight. So this still remains the same. But what are your guys' thoughts?
Just real quick to answer the question: Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, 1, 2, 3 in that order.
No running back. Yep. Interesting.
Back onto the NBA. Though.
Yeah, back onto the NBA. Jay, what are your thoughts on this? Does your perspective of the NBA bubble year change? Can you give me a little bit more elaborate on what you mean by the question? Because I know this was your question, so I want to kind of give you the floor first.
Yeah, I think Trey was also throwing this out there in our chat, and I think really it's to try and put some validation on the fact that a lot of people kind of have that bubble championship for the Lakers as an asterisk. Meaning like, oh, it was the bubble. Like, will they really, would they compete to win a championship in a non-bubble season, a non-shortened season? It played out perfect for an older team, yada, yada, yada. It played out perfect for teams that were focused. Like, people couldn't focus. Other people were worried about their families because of COVID. And so everybody kind of dismissed that championship as like, maybe it's not a real one. So I think this legitimizes that those teams have rebuilt, in some cases like the Lakers, and still put themselves in a position to compete for a ship. Like you have to acknowledge that, because it takes away that argument that these teams were fluke teams. I mean, right now they're the ones that are dominating basketball. We have an opportunity to see the Heat play the Celtics, and we have an opportunity to see the Lakers play the Nuggets and get the semifinal rematches from that bubble year. So I'll throw it up to you guys. Do you guys see this as a validation if these four teams make it back to their conference finals?
I think it just validates the consistency of the three franchises. I wouldn't say the Lakers as well, just because they've had it up and down. They haven't really been consistent.
Well, they've had a total rebuild. That team.
They had a total rebuild in the middle of the season, and it worked, right? And that's the biggest thing. I think D'Angelo Russell will get a contract after this year, and will have good success with the Lakers now, because he's had success. I think he won a title with Golden State now. Yep. But the three teams you're talking about are the Celtics, who went to the NBA Finals last year, the Heat, who were the 1 seed last year and competitive the year before, the Nuggets, who were the number 1 team 3 years in a row. So you're talking about three consistent teams. So was the bubble year a fluke? No, I don't think it was. I think it was just showing what these teams have built so far over the last few years. And I think ultimately when it comes down to it, the Lakers are going to be competitive because they have one of the greatest players in the world on their team. So they're going to be competitive. The biggest question for the Lakers is how long can Anthony Davis stay healthy? We're already talking about maybe he's out for concussion protocols, which is terrible. I feel bad for the guy, ultimately. That he's the butt of everyone's jokes, because it's really heartbreaking to see a guy of such great talent. When I watched him at Kentucky blunder into the NBA. So it really is sad to see, but I mean, I don't think it's a fluke. I think these teams have worked hard to get to where they are. The Lakers have tried all different types of methods and different types of players and whatnot. So I think they've been trying, but they just haven't had the success until right now. And I think right now, and I said this probably 3-4 months ago, and I don't mean this to be a long tangent, but that it would take some time for this team to gel together. And I think they're now starting to feel each other out, starting to feel the flow of the game with each other. So, but let's bring in Trey Day.
Let's press some brakes on that Charles Barkley feeling each other out thing.
Feeling each other out. We just need Shaq over here laughing. What up, Trey?
I was handling two.
I was handling 2 balls, and I'm having $2, and I just, I don't know what's going on here, man.
That's terrible. TIRBEL. That's terrible. Is that the impression of the week? Is Charles Barkley?
No, Ernie,
Ernie, Chuck, Kenny, Chuck, Chuck.
He was banging him in the post, man. He was just banging him in the post.
I'm over here trying to figure out if Chuck's going to ask him a question or if Chuck's going to make it.
Who does that? Who does that? Is it Will? Not some Farrell. What's his face?
Farrell.
Jay Farrell.
Jay Farrell.
Yeah.
I really, he does the cross-eyed. All right, Mike, what's your take on it?
So I agree with you in the sense that there is, I think, a separation between these three teams, which are the Nuggets, the Heat, and the Celtics, and then the Lakers, because this Lakers team is so different as far as how the roster is constructed, aside from LeBron and AD, from the 2020 team. So it's tough to validate them since it's, like I said, outside of AD and LeBron, it's a completely different team, like we said. As far as like the bubble year goes in itself, I don't think there's necessarily a need for validation. I don't see it as a cheap or, fake title, simply because the teams couldn't control the atmosphere that they were in. It was just a season that had a different feel to it. But
atmosphere, right?
Well, there was no atmosphere, right? Yeah. But like, it was a season of different. Just like I don't look at lockout shortened seasons as like cheap titles, because all these teams are still playing.
I don't get where this comes from though, like in a sense of that
because it was so different.
But
just because it was so different.
There's no home court advantage.
Right. So what's the difference
it's because it's a neutrality thing, right?
But what's the difference if a team like all of a sudden is like the Nuggets, who were so hot going into the playoffs last year and ended up dealing with so many freaking injuries? What's the difference with that, right? Like, so we're ultimately making excuses for the fact that an uncontrollable disease came into the country and shut everything down. It's no different if a player gets hurt, a superstar gets hurt. Like, I don't think there's a difference in that. So I don't know why people always say, "Oh, the Lakers."
It's not making differences, but you look at the circumstance, right? Is that they didn't have to travel. It's less taxing on an older team. So, like, it caters for a team like the Lakers with older superstars or aging superstars, like they say when that roster was made up at the time, where there's a lot less strain on making a deep playoff run because you're just.
I like the fact that
you're just going from the cafeteria to the court to your room. Like, it was such a restricted thing that the teams actually got a chance to relax, and it was like advantage everybody. I hear what you're saying, right? By the way, there's a really cool story. I think I sent that to you guys about Jimmy Butler hustling during the bubble when they gave them like $4,000 of cash and they couldn't go anywhere to spend it. So he was bringing people coffee and charging them $20 a cup, and he's like, he knew at some point the $20 bills would run out. So he was getting $100 bills, and that's why he came up with the name like Big Face Coffee, because they were paying a big face for him to like be their coffee concierge. Jimmy Bucket's hustling, baby, in the bubble. Jay, what you think? There's something you were talking about and brought up in the group.
I mean, for me, I don't think it really changed my opinion because I was okay with the bubble season. But it's not just because the Lakers won, but to be honest with you, everybody talks about, okay, it wasn't a home court. Right now, we got a 7 and 8 seed in. So what did home court do this season anyways? Home court has meant less and less through basketball in the last 2 years anyways, which is why you have these lower seeds going through. I mean, the Warriors went on the road in the Game 7 and just won. These things do happen. Even going back to the Cavs, they beat the Warriors in 2016 on the road in a Game 7 in the finals. Home court in the NBA does not mean what it used to mean years ago. I mean, it was cool with the whole, neutral site to me, because I thought it was just like dudes getting out there just hooping. Because on the same end, I remember the stories of the Clippers, who were supposed to be head up with the Lakers, basically falling apart because we realized these dudes don't even fucking like each other once they get into the bubble, and now they're stuck being with each other. So it was a certain something to that I appreciated about actually watching that bubble experience. The other thing that gets forgotten too is the Lakers. The week of the lockout, the Lakers were the number one team in the NBA at that point. They also that same week had just beat the Clippers and Bucks a couple days before the shutdown, who were supposed to be the two teams they were going head up against. The Lakers were trending up. They got to rest and get fresh, and people can say they were aging, but so did other people. There were certain players who were then healthy that weren't there at the end of the season. So everybody got the same reset. So to not value them or the Heat or whoever at that point, I didn't think was necessarily fair.
Do you guys remember?
Well,
fake. You remember the backdrop of the fake fans? Like they like.
Okay, that was corny though.
I liked it because the fact of that. I thought it was really great competitive basketball. Like they didn't have room to say, hey, you know, I had jet lag or anything like that. They were just like Jay was saying, they were just out there playing basketball and they were competing it, and it was competitive. Like the Heat and the Lakers games were competitive. Some of them were kind of blowouts, but they were competitive games in the West and the East at that point. I thought it was a really good opportunity to watch that. And I said to Trey, like, I was like, I'd be okay if they did that every single year. They did something similar to that, where it's kind of like March Madness. You go to different sites, and you sit there for the weekend, blah, blah, blah. You play your games, boom, you're done. And it's like, we got basketball every single day. That was the thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't these 3.5 days. Like between games. It was nice to have games every single day and not be like, okay, well, the Lakers don't play until, you know, July, so we got to wait a month and a half for the games.
Right.
So
there's a quick thought too about, you know, connecting the dots. Alex Caruso, who was probably the best lockdown defender of that entire bubble tournament, just got called onto the NBA All Defensive First Team. So, you know, where he was just sort of making a name for himself, of like, who's this Caruso kid? Where, you know, where's he coming from? Kind of shocking the world and like putting his name on center stage. He's backed up that play once again to even validate even more. Hey, it wasn't only because of the bubble. He's just top, hands down, one of the best defenders in the league.
Right.
Yeah, dudes for hooping. We didn't have side stories. We didn't have like an owner, you know, touching a player on the sideline or extra side stories that are happening. Dudes were just out there balling. And that was something I appreciated. It was basketball to me in one of the purest forms. Get up, you get with your fellas, and you hoop. That's how we all grew up hooping. That's what all these dudes did. They used to run AAU tournaments for any of these guys. That's why you had dudes like Jimmy Butler who were just balling, because those kind of guys, they feed off it. Other guys were, you know, getting there saying, oh, I'm tired. I don't want to, you know, I want to go back home and all that. The dudes who really wanted to hoop, they was there and they was balling. And that's what I appreciated. I love that. Like, that was fun.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it honestly, to a lot of an extent, other than being, like, you know, with an NBA-type presentation, despite no fans being there, it was almost like, you know, just a long tournament at the park. Like you said, there's guys showing up, teams get together, they just start hooping. And maybe I would actually like it if this proposed mid-season tournament was like that, including fans, but if you put it in, like you said, like John said, in like a March Madness style, where you're just there and that kind of, I mean, like you said, Trey, and
high school gym,
high school gym,
limited fans,
that's
lottery.
That's
you have to
literally
win
what
a
it has
lottery
to be.
take 10.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta like, but I mean, you guys know my thoughts on the mid-season tournament. I think it's stupid. It's the dumbest thing in the freaking world.
But if you're gonna do it,
no, don't do it. Like, I just get rid of it. Like, make the playoffs like that. Make the NBA playoffs like that.
I know, but they're not going to do that.
Never.
So, like, you know, I agree with Jamie though. Exactly. Money talks. Yeah. People are going to pay money to go see this because any team is going to be available, right? Right. The mid-season tournament is going to replace the All-Star game ultimately, right?
It should.
That's
they said
they won't do it, but it should.
Break, but we'll see.
What'd you say? Trey, what'd you say? Sorry.
They supposed to be in addition. They say it's supposed to be around the All-Star break, not necessarily replacing it.
So players that aren't the All-Star break are at the mid-season tournament. So realistically, we're not having the best. So realistically, it's not. We're watching a bunch of bench players.
I mean, what
play
they might
a game.
They might not even do that. They might honestly, to try to get the stars to play, they may go like half the tournament, the All-Star break, the other half of the tournament.
Yeah, I think
might,
it's going to be an All-Star break. And I think both are going to happen. I think they're just around the same time. So I think it's going to be basically just a big-ass break in the middle of the NBA season, basically.
But here's my thing, right? Are you going to do a playing game of, like, the lower seeds to even out? Because you're at 30 teams, right? So what do you do? Do you make 29 and 30 play, and then they play the best team, and that goes in as the 28th rank to play the number one? Like, they got to figure something out because you can't have a utopian bracket with 30. Like,
I don't think they've released. I don't think they've released it, but I think they already have it in place. If they've already released that they're going to have it this year, they definitely have it in place. They're not going to release.
Oh yeah, they know what they're going to
do. You know what'd be cool if they add the two best the NBA Development League teams. If they add them in and make it a field of 32.
Mac McClung dunking on NBA guys.
Yeah.
I don't think
it would though. You give this like the real underdog story, right? So.
He would go up once, and then like some big dude would just be like, "Oh hell no!" Just put him down like Steve Adams. Be like, "Nope, not today."
But think about like this, right? What if it gives the Pistons a chance and like when Mbayan to star if he's healthy for that tournament and like really show off?
So
and the Pistons can actually be relevant at some point in the season.
What does it achieve? Is it like
I was wondering the same thing.
It's some type of, I know you get some extra money for the team who wins. It's something crazy. I don't know the exact details. It's something they do with the cap, where somehow like you get a little extra cap space or something crazy that they were talking about, like for the second half of the season, like the buyouts and all that. It was something along that line. I can't remember the exact details.
They should do Western versus Eastern and do it like that if they really want to make it like, I guess, fun. Like make it like whoever gets home court advantage but that'll never work out at the end of the day in the NBA Finals. I'm saying.
So I found details on it from a reporter at Yahoo.
Yeah.
The league will be divided into 6 pools of 5 teams apiece. The pools will be composed of teams from the same conference, but that does not mean they will be based on the divisions.
Okay.
On designated days during the first 6 weeks of the season, teams will play 4 group games. That means they will play each team in their pool once, with 2 games coming at home and 2 on the road.
Okay.
The winner of each of the 6 pools will advance into a single elimination stage along with 2 wildcard teams. The exact method of determining the wildcard teams has not been specified. Semifinals and finals of the tournament will be held at a neutral site. The players on the winning tournament team would receive $500,000 each. The NBA schedule released in the offseason will include only 80 games apiece for each team. The teams that do not advance to the knockout stage will have 2 more games added to their schedule. The teams that reach the tournament finals will play 83 total games.
And that would count towards them. So let's say you win, like you're the 1 seed by half a game. Like I guess that's the benefit of playing the tournament, right? Because you could end up being the 1 seed now because of that 83. But like we said, what's home court advantage after seeing what happened to the Bucks? So it's going to be hard to incentivize, but let's see. I mean, let's not knock it until it happens. Who knows?
Money talks.
Yeah, money talks.
Mike, you just read that whole thing, and I just basically I was like,
I figured I could feel it.
I have no clue what he's talking about at this point. I heard 83 games, pools, and
yeah. So basically, they just do groups, and then it's like the World Cup. The number 1 goes through, and you take 2 wild cards. You have an Elite 8. You get the semifinal. That's a neutral site. And then you have a Monday night game, like maybe
it's going to be a 1-year thing, and it's going to crash and burn.
Most likely.
But they get money if they win, so that may be an incentive for stars to play.
Yeah, so right now, just give you an update. Boston and Philly are tied, so we may not have that Final Four that we're talking about. But Boston is definitely disappointed this year in their play, and that's a topic on its own, like how bad they've been over the past year. So.
You can't say they were the best team in basketball up until like January, which was opposite last year. They became the best team in January.
They had a big right, but from January on, they've had a really big downfall.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can have a great first half, but it's like
2 right now. They're 2.5 point favorites.
I don't know. That's just it's a very interesting team to watch. Take a decline like they did, but 2 teams that haven't taken a decline as we move from the court to the ice. We're going to talk about the 2 expansion teams. And I'm going to throw it over to Trey Day because he said he got a good take on this. So which NHL expansion team is more impressive? Vegas or Seattle?
Okay, so I took this more of, and I know it's a little bit of advantage because Vegas has been around a little bit longer, but I just like where they've went in these 4 or 5 years, or 5 years they've been out. In 5 years, they made the playoffs 4 out of 5 years, which is like really dope. Not too many expansion teams are going to do that in any league, so that's pretty dope that they did that. I mean, they went to the conference finals once. They've been first round knocked out. They've been knocked out in the second round. So I've been very impressed with them in that case. So for me, I would say Vegas because of the consistency. I know Seattle doesn't have as many years as them, but just to see an expansion team come in and basically take over like that is kind of crazy. The other thing I like about them is I've liked that they've had Bruce Cassidy, just what he done with the Bruins before coming over. Was kind of cool to watch him come over now, get these young fellas out, get the expansion team together, which is pretty cool. I mean, over there, I think I'm trying to think of the guy's name, the Kraken coach. I know he's North Dakota's coach for years, so I know he really was a college guy. So it's cool to watch him kind of come to the pros and see if he can do essentially the Jimmy Johnson thing where he has success in college and then comes over to the pros. But my pick is ultimately Vegas because of the consistency, and I just like their coach and them having that culture set by bringing a guy who's already been to the Stanley Cup Finals in as a coach for a team to help get them over the hump.
Yeah, and I hear you on the Kraken because, watching him, I think it was a perfect pickup for them because that team is full of – so there's a couple different things that Vegas and Seattle did. Vegas went after the top guys when they did their expansion draft. They said, we're going to win now. Like, this is our team now. We're going to win. And they ended up making the Cup final that year, lost to Washington. The Kraken are impressive in my mind, and the reason why I'm so high on them is because they are so young. They went young in youth and length of time instead of, they could have grabbed some really great players, and they did. But then I just think, like, the youth behind their team and having that youth coach, like not youth coach, but like younger coach that was coaching pretty much college age kids in North Dakota State, it really helped. So, my pick would be Seattle is impressive right now just because of how young they are and how bottom of the league they were last year. And it's like, holy crap, how did they get from that to this? And at one point they were leading the West. And then, obviously they made it in as a wild card, but Jay, what you thinking?
Well, I got two thoughts. One, I look at it as let's see what the teams have to work with. Vegas is second to Tampa in terms of their overall payroll. So Vegas went out there and said, look, we have to create a great product because everybody wants to come to Vegas and check this team out anyway, whether they're a fan or not. Because like you said, it's the greatest introduction on ice. There's nothing better than going to a Vegas 100%. Game in Vegas, right? It's just the best show on ice in America.
It's amazing.
So
it's amazing.
And then number two is they took my boy Yanni Gordon. So they went ahead and said, look, let's bring someone with a championship caliber mentality onto the roster. And what was really cool that the fans did, correct me if is it Matty Bearns? Is that the rookie?
Beniers.
For the fans to embrace a young teenager like that and understand how much that would boost his confidence and the way they've hyped him up. What they basically said is, look, we believe in you off the bat. Like, management trusted you and we have your back 100%. You love to see the fans do something like that. And look, I'm an old Seattle Supersonics guy, right? So I like Seattle sports. And Seattle knows how to embrace their teams. The 12th man in football, the Sonics fans were absolutely awesome. So it's not like the town is foreign to knowing how to treat teams and players and really doing it right. So I like what's going on with Seattle hockey, and I really do hope they get a shot to at least get to the Stanley Cup this year. Yeah,
to your point, I've been to that Vegas. I've been to the T-Mobile Arena, and Mela and I went there, and it is an amazing spectacle. Like, to watch their pre-show theatrics, it's almost like you're going to the theater almost, and it's really cool the way they do it. So if you're ever in Vegas, anyone that's watching or listening, I suggest going to a Vegas Golden Knights game. It won't disappoint for sure. Mike, what you thinking?
Okay, so allow me to use some of my hockey knowledge to also kind of break this down a little bit. I agree with you guys. I'm going to go with Seattle for a few different reasons. First of all, Vegas, looking back at they've been a very impressive organization and franchise. They said great. Their roster has been fantastic. And their immediate run to the Cup, I wish they would have won. They lost the Capitals, but that's another story. The thing is that expansion draft was really the first of its kind in the modern NHL. There hadn't been an expansion team since, I think, 2000, and it was kind of a loose expansion draft at the time. The problem is that the NHL organizations were not prepared for that expansion draft. They didn't know how to handle it, and they made a lot of mistakes. Namely,
they just let players like to the end of the expansion draft and just let them go. It was like,
well, not only that, the prime example of that in the Vegas one is Florida. Florida absolutely got fleeced by Vegas. So Florida for those that aren't familiar with how the expansion draft works, the expansion team can only take one player from each team to try to keep it fair. They can protect, I believe the teams can protect 2 goalies and 18 combined skaters between forwards and defensemen. Essentially, they can keep an NHL team. Whoever they want their NHL roster to be. Florida got Jonathan Marchessault, who's been a fantastic player for Vegas, taken from them by Vegas in that expansion draft. However, to make sure that Marchessault was the one that got taken, Florida made a trade with Vegas and gave them draft picks in exchange for, okay, just take him. And they did that with a few different teams. The thing is, the throw-in player in that deal from Florida was Riley Smith, who is also, along with Marchessault, one of the top scorers on the team. Then William Karlsson from Columbus. So all these teams got fleeced. So after that, for Seattle's expansion draft, the teams learned. They didn't really make any agreement trades like that with them. They protected their players a little better, understanding how these teams work. So Seattle did not have the kind of talent Vegas had to pick. Now, Trey, you mentioned Seattle's coach. I like that you brought that up. His name is Dave Haxtell. He was the University of North Dakota's head coach for a long-ass time. But what some people don't remember is this is Haxtell's second NHL head coaching job. His first one was with the Flyers. So there was a lot of questions when Seattle hired him because he did terribly with the Flyers. So now he's proven it was the Flyers, not him. Yeah. So I think overall it's Seattle because they're so young. They had an unproven coach. Yeah. But yeah, breaking that all down, yes, I think it's Seattle just because of the circumstances with which they even began their team.
And to your point, I don't think they were trying. I don't even think if the players were there, they probably would have taken them. But I don't think. Right. I think Seattle's mindset to start off with was we're going to go young and we're going to build a franchise instead of just build off of, And it's just like with any organization, right? Like you can see it with football, basketball, anything, and Trey, you can relate it to the Lakers right now. Like they were the oldest team. Now they're kind of like one of the younger teams because they got all the youth there, role players that have helped them. And it's like, I was saying before you got on to the show that the Lakers look like a complete different team. And I love what they've done in getting youth and stuff like that. But, I just think that's the name of the game now is like getting younger players that buy into the organization and buy into the fandomship. And it was perfect because it was it's like Jamie said, Seattle was begging for another professional team.
Oh, 100%. They embraced them so quickly. Mm-hmm. I believe they sold season tickets like almost twice as fast as Vegas did.
Wow.
30 in 10 minutes.
Yeah, in 10 minutes they sold out. They sold out of season.
The only reason why I know that is because I had a client that was looking to buy on their station, and I got all the rundown about their Kraken and everything. Yeah. I got the whole run. I got the whole info, and they're like, yeah. I remember the VP was on the phone with me. He's like, yeah, we sold out in 10 minutes. I'm like, 10 minutes? Like,
right here at Cinco, so we got the insider info.
10 minutes? How the hell did you do that? I can't even click a button in 10 minutes. So,
I definitely can't take a shit.
Keeping it in the West of the Stanley Cup, how come Jamie brought this up as well, is how come there's no love for the West in the Stanley Cup?
For the West Coast, man.
All the East Coast teams have all the love right now. What is that? Jamie, I'll let you elaborate a little bit on it.
I feel it's just the common East Coast bias, right? I mean, other than the Avalanche winning the Cup, there's been dominance from the East for quite a while. The best players have been in the East for quite a while. We kind of forget about Canadian teams and their stardom, and we don't really see it as East-West. We just see it as Canada teams. So you're talking about, Sid the Kid and Ovechkin, and we're talking about names that just kind of really put that stardom sort of status on the East Coast. And I feel the West Coast just hasn't got a lot of love in a long time. So Colorado did great things for the West Coast and for hockey on the West Coast. And it's almost like now the excitement of hockey is shifting out to the West Coast. So I don't know why they're not getting enough love if you're going to consider the fact that Edmonton has the best player in the league. Vegas is one of the more exciting places for hockey. It's cool to see the expansion team, and maybe that's why they're saying the expansion team. You're kind of more looking at the traditional teams, but there's no traditional teams in the East other than Toronto that left in the game here, right? Like the Devils haven't had that much success. Carolina's not a traditional powerhouse, and neither is the Panthers. So I don't know why they're getting that much love. I really don't know. All I could boil it down to is East Coast bias.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at the East, I see, obviously I'm biased because of the Red Wings and Lightning, but I just see like a lot of early 2000s in the San Jose Sharks, who were the best team. Had Joe Thornton, had a lot of great firepower, and then came in and lost in the first round. And it just seemed like that seemed to be a repetitive thing. Or the Ducks won 1 year and then like basically fell off the face of the earth. And it's like we have the same thing in Edmonton. Edmonton has by far the best player in the league right now, hands down, and has the greatest team, but can never get by anybody. They may not even get by Vegas at this point. And it's like they just can't get over the hump. And it's like we've seen Tampa beat them and whatnot. We've seen them ultimately win the series and dominate Dallas, and then ironically dominate Montreal, who's in the East. In the Stanley Cup final, which was weird in my opinion. But I don't know. It's just different. Colorado was the first one to come over the hump, it seems like, over the last 10 years to win a Stanley Cup. And then we had Chicago's and stuff like that. But I think
Would you consider Chicago East Coast though? Kind of like because the Bulls make you.
I would because I would consider Detroit. I mean, Detroit's the East Coast, but they just became East Coast. They were never East Coast. They're on the West side of the conference. So I don't know. I just think that the West is powerful during the regular season, but then just falls apart in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think part of it to me that stood out was you have to look at when these updated odds came out this week, where the playoffs stood in both conferences. It was Carolina is for the most part dominating New Jersey, and Florida, for the most part, aside from yesterday, dominating Toronto. So there's a clear path to a title. In the West, it's been, like we said, it's been so back and forth. I think part of it is that they just don't know who's coming out of the West because it could be any of them at this point, the way they've been playing each other. And yeah, I think it's one of those cases where the East, whoever gets out of the East may win the Cup because the West is just beating each other up so much. They're going so many, they're on a trend to go so many more games to get past each other that the East teams may have more of their legs under them by the time they get to the final than these West teams. Now, when it comes to Edmonton, I don't think with Draisaitl and McDavid, for those two in particular, I don't think that would matter necessarily because they're, like we said, they're a whole another level above most of the players in the league. But it's just the West is troubling simply because it is so competitive. It's hard to judge who's actually going to be the best team.
Yeah.
What do you think, Trey?
Honestly, I agree with Jay. I really think there's a lot of the East Coast bias. I mean, you got a lot of times where people, they just aren't staying up late for a Seattle Kraken game during the playoffs or during the regular season. Same for a team like Vegas. And then I do also think, I know it's not necessarily the blue buzz there, but everybody's always nervous about picking the new thing. Either way, when you have 2 of the 4 teams left being the new thing, nobody wants to jump on that limb and pick them. And that's why I think that kind of is really playing out with them. But we always see East Coast bias all the time. I mean, when you watch college football, you get East Coast bias always towards the Heisman Trophy because nobody stays up late to watch that. So you basically had to wait until the last season for Caleb Williams to go win that award. When you go to the West Coast, until recently when you started to have maybe a star like LeBron or the Shaq and Kobe years in the NBA, a lot of people always went to the biased East side where you had Jordan, you had Bird, all these people. So I think a lot of it really is coming down to East Coast bias because that's what people see in those names. Just being fresh.
And you make a great point. Having a Carolina, Florida, Vegas, Seattle Final Four is sort of like having a Memphis, Denver, Atlanta, and throw another random East Coast team in there.
Charlotte.
Charlotte or something maybe someone who was in the playoffs, right? It's why are these teams in the
Knicks? The Knicks.
The Knicks, even though they're traditional, but are you going to get viewership? And are people going to care that much? Because, like you said, are the blue bloods around to keep the interest of traditional hockey fans? And I think for hockey, it's good to have Canadian teams stick around for a while.
Yeah, seeing how they haven't. Yeah. We're talking about the Maple Leafs in this sense. They've won. Yeah, it's great. I don't get the whole excitement about winning your first playoff series since 2004. How about you go win the cup? In my opinion, like
Talk about getting
I never,
back though, right?
I get the monkey off the back, and then they go back down and get down 3-0. It's like, was it really a big feat? Like you might lose a series.
For them, bro, they were like, God damn it, we got another Florida team. Like, can't get out of this damn state.
Yeah, exactly. I think part of that, it wouldn't be such a big deal if it weren't for like the 4 or 5 game 7s of the first round they've lost in the past few years, especially to Boston. Like I feel like for the Maple Leafs to win the cup at this point, they have to play and beat Boston in the first round. That's just you got to exercise the demons. That's just what they have to do.
Yeah. Well, talking about some demons, we got that that pesky NFL schedule coming out. The demons of schedule.
Demons.
Just
a quick update on the Celtics. Quick update on the Celtics game. Tatum just hit a ginormous step back 3, put them up by 5, so it's now 89-84.
Wow.
2:11 left.
89-84 who?
Celtics. Tatum just hit a huge step back 3. Yep. So put them up by 5.
He should be the one handling the ball with.
If they want to win this game, they'll put the ball in his hands.
Correct. Instead of dishing it off to Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
But he's smart.
But I mean, that was a great shot he had. But it was just like you wasted 18 seconds to get that whole play running. It's like it didn't make any sense. But talking about the NFL schedule that just got released 2 hours ago, we're gonna release it here. No, but first glance, first game that pops out at you. What game or games pop out you guys just initially like boom, like damn, I can't wait for that game.
Actually, I have one that disappointed me.
What's that?
So the one that disappointed me was they put the Tyreek Hill return game in Germany, and I wanted to see him go back to Arrowhead. And I was
they did,
so we're going to put this in Germany? Okay, cool. So give them the excitement of having one of their stars come back. I wanted to see if Tyreek had caught some 80-yard touchdown, did the chunk and the deuces, and did it to the crowd. I was waiting for that moment, and now we put it in Germany. So I'm like, okay, well, we kind of defeat the purpose of that. We used to go out there and give, the Germany and London our bad games. We would give them Jaguars games all the time. Now they're starting to give them good games and take away from, the fans in America seeing some of the top-notch games.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to your point, Tyreek Hill just did something on his social media. He did like a 3-minute video, and he was back in Arrowhead doing a camp or something. And they were showing him talk about it. It's like, I can't wait to come back here and catch my first touchdown here this year because I know I'm playing at Kansas City this year. I can't wait for it. So I'm wondering like how his reaction was when he first found out, like, hey, we're going to Germany. It's like, what, dude? Come on, man.
Right.
Like, I'm sure it was probably like, all right, whatever, I'll go play football. But it's like still like he did a whole thing where they were interviewing. They're like, I can't wait. I just want to catch a touchdown. To your point, he said, I want to catch a touchdown in this stadium. On the other side. It's like, so that's very interesting. I'll be honest with you. My game that stood out to me that was kind of disappointing. I'm surprised they didn't do Chiefs-Eagles first game of the year. I was very surprised with that because that would have been a great rematch, but I think they wanted the Chiefs to win. That's the ultimate goal. Like,
who says the Chiefs are going to beat the Lions? Like, I think what they're really.
I think it's a good game. I think it's a good game, but I still think the Chiefs win.
Of the league. Let's let the darlings of the league prove if.
But that's the game that stands out for me because ultimately, why not? We usually have the Super Bowl rematch as the first game, and it works out perfect because the Eagles are going to the Chiefs this year. So I was kind of disappointed, and like now they're trying to hype up the Eagles and Patriots Super Bowl. I'm like, we already played the Patriots a couple times, so it's like
same team.
Yeah, right. Like it's not like we didn't just play them. Like I don't get it. So, but that game stood out, and then like the one game that stood out to me was the It's the one in London. I think Jaguars Bills. Is that the one game? I think it is. Can someone fact check that for me? I'm trying to get my computer to load, but I think it's Jaguars Bills in London. To your point, Trey, I would have liked to seen that like in Jacksonville or in Buffalo to kind of see like because like Jacksonville used to be the butt of the NFL. Now they're kind of now they're really good and should win that division pretty.
Yeah, that's a London. It's a London game.
It's Jacksonville, Buffalo, though, right?
Jacksonville.
Yeah,
Buffalo.
Jacksonville and London.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
Jacksonville's in London
I think they love them
back-to-back weeks.
Yeah.
Well, Jacksonville likes to play over there. Their owner said he liked actually playing over there. He was trying to get that.
He's from over in Europe.
Yeah,
He's
they
from
used to
Europe.
always want the money of over there. So he always.
Is he from Europe? I thought he was Indian.
I think he's Middle Eastern.
I think
But
Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
But he used to
Either way.
the Jags and play those games.
So
Yeah.
I thought that game stood out to me because it was just two teams who were in the playoffs. Their fan bases are really loud, very like great stadium and atmosphere. And it's like you put that game over there, and then again, Mike, to your point, why would you do back-to-back weeks? Is it Buffalo's home game? Because it can't be both Jaguars' home games.
It's a Jacksonville home game against the Falcons in week 4, and then it's a Buffalo home game against Jacksonville in week 5.
Yeah, because they can't do 2 home games. So, Jay, what about you? What are your instant thoughts when you see a game?
I'm really intrigued by the Monday night opener. You have Josh Allen going up against his new rival in his own division, Aaron Rodgers, and all of a sudden the question mark is Josh Allen the best quarterback in his division? So it's cool that we get that matchup that maybe decides round 1, because we know there's going to be a round 2 and maybe a round 3 in the playoffs. Who knows? But at least we know we get it twice. And in getting it twice, we get that taste of who's going to be hungry coming off the bat. Now, what have we seen of Aaron Rodgers in the last 2 years? He didn't show up in week 1. Maybe we finally see a motivated Aaron Rodgers show up in week 1 because he's like, I don't need this young kid to show me up. So it validates that everybody else says, hey, this truly is the new me, right? Like this was me when I was in my 3rd or 4th year. Like I still want to prove that I have the juice to win with this team right now. And we know right now for the Jets, it's win right now. We know for the Bills, they feel like they win those 3 years, 4 years. Who knows what their time frame might be. So I think that's going to be a great Monday night game. And it's going to be really interesting to see whether that does become the best rivalry in football right off the bat, at least for the next year.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's an interesting matchup to start off the year. But I also think that the NFL really focused in on who put Trey back in. Who really focused in on, because if you go back last year's Monday night games and Thursday night games, they sucked. Let's be real. They were not. They were terrible. So I think they really focused in on the matchups, and they're like, we need to have a better Monday night turnout because they were bad. And I think this is a good way to kickstart it.
Did they pass the flex for Thursday? They were trying to propose.
I'm not sure. Like where you could flex late in the season, right? Pending on record.
Yeah, they were.
I think they might have, because they mentioned last year they were going to start introducing that.
Okay, so they did. I wasn't sure they passed it or not.
Yeah. Mike, what's your game that pops out?
So one of the ones, actually, I agreed with Jay in that I like the welcome wagon for Mr. Rogers being a home game against probably the toughest opponent in his new division. So I like that they're welcoming him to the division with possibly getting beat down by a great Bills defense.
Welcome to the party.
Yeah, exactly. You may have heard about him. This is Matt Milano. He's going to hit you very hard. But the other one on there's that one on a personal note. The interesting one is that the Giants are coming to Buffalo in October. So here's hoping I'm able to go to that game. Nice. Try to get tickets to that game. Yeah. So that's what kind of stood out to me was as a fan is that the Giants are actually going to be in Buffalo when I'm living here for once, or at least have an opportunity to. I think the last time I wasn't able to go because I was working nights. But yeah, I like that. I like that non-Giant game being the welcome wagon for Aaron.
And then John and I have a Monday night game where he might come up here to Tampa.
Yeah, we should do it, Jay. Like for sure, for real though. Like come up there. Like because the last time I went to the Tampa Eagles game, it was 100 degrees, and
I remember that
Tampa got Tampa waxed. Me and Pat were there, and Tampa waxed the Eagles. The Eagles just looked so bad, and it was just like, damn, like. Like, okay, I'm hoping like next game I'm going to like a Monday night game and stuff and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what the NFL did, but they just said, you know what, Philadelphia, fuck you. Like, fuck you. Here's all the opponents that you said you could beat. I'm like,
You
okay,
did
I'll
get
take
the
it.
49ers on your schedule, right? Didn't you get a 49ers
Yeah,
game?
we played NFC West. Yeah, so I'm okay with it, but like in my head, I'm thinking like, damn, like man, we got the hardest schedule. Like I'm looking through our schedule, I'm like, that's a playoff team. That could be a playoff team. That could be. I'm like looking through, like bro, like come on, just let me have 1 week where I can have a team that is like at least decent. Like look at the start of the year for the Eagles right now, and I'm not trying to be like biased, but we've got Patriots who could potentially be who was almost a playoff team last year. Vikings, best team in the North. Buccaneers, I mean, we should beat them. Commanders reloaded. The Rams are questionable. Then we go Jets, Dolphins, Commanders, Cowboys. And then here's the 4-game stretch. We go Chiefs, Bills, Niners, Cowboys.
That's rough.
Seahawks.
That's rough.
Giants.
You could potentially
Christmas.
You could potentially be 7-1 going into that 4-game stretch. So if you come out of it 9-3, you're still good to go.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, like I don't know, like I'm like, damn, like they really screwed them over. But hey, I'm okay with it because like, look at that, that'll get the monkey off their back in the sense of saying, oh, they didn't play the hardest teams and they didn't play good teams. They got the hardest schedule. So if they go in and go 14-3 again, you know,
you think you're still good? Take this.
What do you think about the? This is something that I saw. I was like, what? Why are they doing this? This is not going to get good ratings at all. But Black Friday football, like,
oh yeah.
You don't think so, though? You don't think it's going to get good ratings?
Because it's a biggest shopping day of the year, man. Like
exactly. So when everybody's done shopping and they come home and eat their leftovers, they're like, here you go. More.
What time is the game, though?
Late in the weekend.
3 p.m.
3? I thought they were going to do a 6 p.m. game. Okay. That's
so like for me, like.
See, that's an odd time. That makes no sense. If they made it a 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. game, like
I thought it was like a 1 or 3 game. But yeah. So like for me, like I was sitting there like, what the hell? Like, why are you doing a Black Friday? Like, you could do the day. I mean, I understand why you don't do it Saturday because that's championship weekend, and not championship weekend. That's rivalry weekend. That's Michigan, Ohio State, Auburn, Alabama. You're not gonna. You would compete, but like realistically, you don't want to compete with there. But who is the game? Do you guys know?
It is. Yeah, it's the Dolphins at the Jets.
So not a bad football game, right?
No, I mean
it could be a competitive, depending on who's in the game, though, right? Is Tua there?
Right.
Are the Dolphins going to be competitive? And number 3, are the Jets going to be competitive this year? They got Aaron Rodgers, but that doesn't mean that. That doesn't mean that what?
I said I'm a healthy Brees Hall, which helps the cause for Aaron Rodgers staying healthy as well.
It helps the cause for him too.
Yeah. Yep.
Brees Hall having Aaron Rodgers, they help each other because Brees Hall doesn't have to do all the load work because Zach Wilson can't hit a pass past 3 yards. Well,
like they say down in the other leagues when they got the football on the Thursday, the football on the Friday, the football on the Saturday, the football on the Sunday, got that football all weekend long.
Where's Bobby Boucher?
That's our football.
So what game?
And clip.
So quick early prediction. Quick early prediction here on a team that I'm thinking of, and I've been marinating this team for the past like couple days, and I'm like, I gotta ask the guys what they think about this team. The Los Angeles Rams. Where do you see them at this year? And we're not gonna do all teams. It was just a team that stuck in my head because I was seeing the Eagles play them, and I'm like, I can't dictate what Rams team I'm gonna get. So, what are your thoughts on the Rams?
Because the NFC West is unpredictable, like absolutely unpredictable, because we don't know what the change of helm is going to do for the 49ers. Like, is it going to be another darling Cinderella story, next quarterback up because the team's that good? Has Pete Carroll solidified his defense to compete more because the offense also got better? So right now, like the Rams are sitting in a position where we know Arizona is going to tank. So are the Rams just sitting at that we're the third best team, and unless we get a couple home wins we didn't expect to get against those two other teams, we're not even competing for our division? That's kind of where I see them. I think they threw all their chips on the table to win a Super Bowl, and they're just kind of now on their last leg. Like, do we trade Donald so we get something in return, or do we just hold on and see what we could do this year, and hopefully Matt Stafford steps up and we can have one last bit of magic? But I don't think they have enough playmakers for that.
Yeah, that's what I kept marinating. I was like, they have Cooper Kupp. You know, they got rid of Ramsey. You know, did they get enough, back from Ramsey to, help build back the defense, build back, and the same to your point, Aaron Donald. But it's just like I'm like so back and forth. I looked at the roster. Roster isn't terrible, right? You got Cooper Kupp. It should have been MVP, NFL MVP, but it's a quarterback award, as we all know. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so it is a weird position that they find themselves in because of both the unpredictability, like Jay said, of the division itself and what has happened in the offseason within the division, but just the team, because on paper their offense should be better. I mean, but take into account everybody, all things being equal, everybody staying healthy. Matt Stafford's back at quarterback. Cooper Kupp is back as top receiver and is a little healthier. They shored up the offensive line to try to keep both of them and Cam Akers in good health. But on paper, also the defense got worse. They got rid of Jalen Ramsey. Donald's still there, but Bobby Wagner's gone. Like, I just looking quickly at the depth chart. Bobby Wagner, he's back in Seattle. Rams let him walk, and he signed back in Seattle.
I'm telling you, man, like he just went back to your division rival. It's like, hey, guess what? I'm about to tear y'all up twice.
Oh, you think?
Well, hey, I want to go. Did he win a Super Bowl with them? He was with them with the Super Bowl, right?
I think so.
Yes, he was. He got traded. Yeah, he got traded because he got traded as soon as the guy from Denver. What's his name?
Von Miller.
Yeah,
Von Miller. He got traded like a week after that, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's a cool pickup." So bring Trey back on. Trey, we're talking about that. We're not talking about the Black Friday game anymore, but we're talking about there's a team that was marinating with me that I just couldn't stop thinking about, and like it's just like because I'm like, are they going to be good? Are they going to be because they were so injury prone last year, and that's the Los Angeles Rams. Like I can't deter if they're going to be good because they drafted pretty good. But are they going to be, middle of the road? Like, what kind of team are we going to see? Because they still got talent on the team. So
they're going to be bad.
Like worse than 500 bad?
Yeah, worse than 500.
Okay.
How much worse than 500?
I think
5
they'll
and
be.
12.
I think in the bottom 6 or 7 teams.
Wow.
I don't see it. At the end of the day, I mean, the defensive line, you still have Aaron Donald, but before, you got to remember, before they were putting guys like Leonard Floyd and them out there, so you couldn't double team Aaron Donald. Now you can double him. Kupp's getting older. You put a lot of miles. You got to remember, they put running back type miles, like Barry Sanders level miles on Little Cooper Kupp, or My Little Kupp, as Jamie called him for years. So they put mileage on him. I'm not trusting the quarterback situation out there. And I think a lot of people figured out this McVay thing. We're going to keep it real. I think a lot of people have figured this out. I'm waiting for the second trick. We haven't seen that second trick. So I think pretty bad. I mean, I don't trust them to be better than Seattle. I don't trust them to be better than San Francisco. And I didn't love Arizona, but I still think they might be better. So probably last in the division. I do not like what I see. They also have one of the worst home fields in the league. Everybody goes out there to have a good time in LA. They don't have a home crowd. I don't see anything good with this team. I'm disgusted by them. I don't like the team at all.
But do you guys think that San Francisco is definitely the biggest question mark because you have no idea what you're getting at quarterback with a team that's actually Super Bowl ready at every other position almost?
No. You ever heard of Brock Purdy before Week 7? Do you remember him in college? Do you remember, that's just what they do. They plug in whoever.
That's what I mean. So, like, are they that good that it doesn't matter? Are they the only team in football it doesn't matter who you plug in?
Yes.
Okay.
Especially now that you have McCaffrey, you have a whole offseason with McCaffrey, you have Debo, so you have weapons, you have George Kittle. I mean, at this point, I'm going to be honest, I think I could get them to 8. I think I can get them to 8.
Get them, Trey.
I'm going to put them right below 500, so I'm going to say 8-9 with Trey as the quarterback.
Bro, I have a great idea. Let's make a promo video for Trey to be the backup quarterback in San Francisco because we know at some point they're going to be a quarterback 4, and we're going to see our boy on the field, and we got to go out there and support him.
I can do it. They got Nick Bosa. We go back.
Yeah, just give the ball to CMC most of the time, and
it's like Trey, guys, I'm gonna hand the ball off to CMC 36 times tonight. Make sure you watch the game.
And four or five screens to Debo. Use the speed. By the way,
that's all you gotta do is boom, boom, boom.
Look, right there. Look, there's his card. There's Trey's rookie card right there.
Yep. There it is.
I'll take him off for him. Trey's very happy.
That quarterback for the 49ers. We have Trey Booker from the Ohio State University.
Man, that's terrible, man. I can't believe that, man. You said that like that.
Oh,
you
my
make fun
God.
of that, man. He had 2 balls like this, man. He had 2 balls from here to there. I can't believe it.
Charles, man, I can't believe you said that on there.
By the way, I have two updates for you gentlemen real quick.
What is it?
Celtics win.
Yep. Tied to 3.
Well, not the Celtics. The Carolina Hurricanes have sent the New Jersey Devils packing. They won in overtime. So,
oh wow.
Yeah.
The Celtics also took the series back to Boston.
Nice.
We will have 1 game. Here's my thing, guys. I think we're gonna get 4 Game 7s.
Really?
I said that earlier. You said you don't think so.
I didn't say I didn't think so.
Oh, no. We were talking about Toronto. I'm sorry. Toronto. But yeah.
Also, Bobby Wagner was not on that Rams team.
He was there the year after they won.
Yeah, last year was his only year in LA.
Yeah, Von Miller is who they brought in.
Can't make us right for once.
Never.
Bad Mike.
How do you think I won so many Stump the Squads? But we'll get to that later.
Because your ass cheating. Your mama be there holding up an iPad. Mike, this is the answer.
She's asleep. Don't.
Well, I do have some breaking news, though.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
break
do
the
we?
internet.
Do we?
We have some breaking news from Mikey Mike and the Funky Bunch, and I'm going to throw it over to him. Woo, woo, woo,
yeah.
Let's
let off all the sirens. So, for those of you that aren't aware, which I don't think is anybody other than probably my mom, as of around June 7th, your boy is moving out on his own. I signed my lease agreement today, so I have my own apartment. Actually, Jay, that's where I was going when I told you the story about my tire before we came on. was to look at that apartment. So yeah, I got my own apartment. We moved.
Well done.
The move in. Thank you. Move in is June 7th. As they said on the classic,
he's getting 2 apartments. One's going to be for his living. The other is going to be Cinco Squad's headquarters.
Yeah, it's going to be the studio.
We're going to fly in every week, Jay, and
we got to get him a Cinco Squad thing like you behind, and then each one of us just keep finding our own spot to Cinco Squads in another place. Headquarters are expanding.
But yes, congratulations to Mikey on his first place. And,
Mikey.
You know, that's huge. And Trey's having some connection issues like me. I'm sure I probably froze all show long, but
y'all come visit now. You hear? Come visit.
We will never visit. No,
never.
But, gentlemen, is an hour and 8 into the show, and I think it's time for.
Is it?
Oh no!
Hold on.
Wait.
We got.
No, he didn't.
Did we have him back?
Yes, we gotta wait for him.
Is he there?
Boom. All right, Trey. Did you hear anything or no? Oh, he's frozen again.
Stop.
You hear me, Trey?
No, don't do it yet, Jay.
Stop. No.
Oh, he's gone. We'll join back. Stump the Squad.
Bring it back.
Jay, I'll put it on the big screen.
Come on now. You know how it goes, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for tuning in so far. This is Cinco Squad. We reached our favorite time in the show. It is Stump the Squad. We ask each other questions. 2 points per question. You either get +2 or -2. We got to take Mikey down because the winner gets the round of the week. You already had a little mini rant about him moving on out. Somebody else gets that round. Trade, come on back because we need you online here to maybe get the tiebreaker or to at least stump Mikey for the week. But since we have so much love for Mikey, what is your question of the week?
Oh, good. Thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate you. Come on. There it goes. Sending it my way. So I will take us to the ice, gentlemen. Take us to the ice in the I suppose in the theme of expansion teams, as the Seattle Kraken currently trail 2-0 to the Dallas Stars.
Already?
Yeah. Well, it's almost through the first period.
They said Dallas was the heavy favorite in that game.
Yeah. Well, it's in Dallas, so.
Yeah.
I need you guys just to simply tell me this. How long did the original 6 era of the NHL last?
Nice question.
For those not aware, the original NHL, when the NHL was founded, had 6 teams.
Montreal.
Can I do it?
Yes. Who are the 6 teams, John?
Do I get 2 points?
No, that's not the question.
It is the Montreal Canadiens, the Chicago Blackhawks, the Detroit Red Wings. Did I say them all right?
Yes.
New York Rangers, Boston Bruins, and the 6th. Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't know why I was drawing a blank on that, but I was saying I hate Toronto
because most of the league doesn't recognize Toronto anyway. But yes,
Toronto.
Of those, I was
can I do
it? Maple syrup, not maple leaves.
So there was a time period in the NHL in which it was just those 6 teams. That's when Montreal won most of their titles. Never let Canadiens fans forget that.
Yep.
How long did it last? A, 25 years. B, 35 years. C, 45 years. Or D, 55 years.
Wow, 55 seems like so
It was
long.
just those 6?
Yeah.
Just those 6. How long was
25.
it? Just those 6.
25 years.
What was the 31?
35.
Bang,
So it's 25, 35, 45, 55.
Let me go for 35.
Okay. Jay says
Lock
35.
it in, Colbeck.
John says 25. I have successfully stumped Jamie.
No.
25 years.
No.
And for getting and for getting that right, John goes next.
Perfect. And I have a Stanley Cup question as well. Talking about the Stanley Cup coming up here soon. Who was the first player in hockey history to win an Olympic gold medal and a Stanley Cup in the same year?
Oh, that's a cool
Was
stat.
it Stevie Y? Was it Mark Messier? Was it Ken Morrow? Or was it Johnny Bauer?
I do know the
Trade
Winter
it back
Olympics
on the block.
I do know the Winter Olympics were in 1994, so I'm going to take Senor Marc Messier.
Trey, did you
hear the question?
Yeah, I was going to go with Mark Messier is my answer.
He might not be the first, though. Might not be the first.
Come on, man.
What?
You got to put it in the wheelhouse. It's Ken Morrow.
What? He's right.
God damn it.
1980 Miracle on Ice, and then he signed with the Islanders and won the Cup.
Fuck,
Come on,
I didn't even
man.
think
Come
about
on,
that.
man.
God damn it.
Come on.
I didn't know you won that same year as a pro.
Ah, you bastard. You bastard.
Already won. Trey, did you hear the first question?
Did you hear my
I did not
question?
hear the first question.
All right,
Okay.
Mike,
All
ask
right,
me.
so Mike, go ahead and ask it again.
Okay. So my question, which and you wouldn't have heard answers, so I will tell
Yeah, I
you.
didn't hear any of it.
John got it right. Jamie got it wrong. So, are you familiar with the original 6 in the NHL?
Not really.
Okay. There was a time. I'll just say this. We don't got to go through the teams. There was a time period in the NHL when it first started that there were only 6 teams in the league.
Okay.
How long did that time period last before they started adding teams?
Okay,
Ball
before
is 6.
Only 6.
Okay.
25 years, 35 years, 45 years, or 55 years?
What was the second one you said?
35 years.
I'm going 35.
That's what I said.
That's what Jamie said. It was
Okay.
25.
We got stumped.
It was 25. It felt like that was too obvious. So I
Yeah,
was like,
same thing, right? That's what I thought. I was like 25.
Yeah.
Maybe it started like in the late 1800s, so maybe 35.
Yeah.
And while Mike is on the screen, Trey, did you hear about the breaking news that happened?
Oh, yes. Did you hear the news?
What news?
Well, we had breaking news while you were gone.
We have secondary breaking news.
We'll split up some of the squads. So we have secondary breaking news. He went from woes to shams now. So
Yes.
Okay.
The breaking news is that as of today, when I signed the lease, I am moving into my own apartment.
Boom, bam, spam.
In
Yeah,
June.
the good breaking news.
Yeah, it's very good breaking news.
Good breaking news.
June
Congratulations.
7th.
Thank you. June
Good
7th.
breaking news.
Mike, I'll send you a good pumpkin soup recipe to hold you down on the cold nights.
Oh, gee, thanks, Jay.
Pumpkin soup.
Pumpkin soup.
So
Let's see. 2 things I don't eat: pumpkin and soup. Great.
Maybe together might be better.
That's true. It's honestly true. It is
We'll have
honestly
many
Yeah.
cold.
But yeah, that was the breaking news while you were gone. The secondary
Not
breaking
too
news,
cold.
and we'll throw you up on the screen for your question of the night.
Okay, so mine, I went towards the NBA. What I wanted to pick this
great.
week, it had to do with All NBA because they just released the All NBA teams yesterday. So with that being said, there are a lot of legends that have been All NBA. Some a lot of times, some a few times. So it's always interesting to watch, guys go year to year and watch the trade-off.
Right.
So my question for today, and I'm going to name a few players, and they all have something in common. These 5 players all have the exact same amount of All-NBAs. What you're going to guess is how many All-NBA teams in it, and this can be first, second, or third, all combined. How many All-NBA teams did these 5 players make?
Okay.
So the 5 guys we have here are going to be Klay Thompson, Vince Carter, Bill Walton, Kevin Love, and Dennis Rodman.
What random names you throw out there, young
Yes,
man.
it was. I'll say it again. Klay Thompson, Vince Carter, Bill Walton, Kevin Love, Dennis Rodman. Your choices are 5 All-NBA, 2 All-NBA, 4 All-NBA, or 1 All-NBA.
Numero dos for me.
That's what I was going to say. It's 2.
I was actually also thinking 2.
So are we all locking in 2?
Jay's happy because it's 3.
I think it's 1.
No, and it's probably 1, but I feel like
I think
that's
it's
Not
1.
I feel
Not
like that's.
It's not 1.
What's our final answers?
I think we're all locking in 2.
We're all locking in 2. So
Hold on. John might change.
I'm going to go to 3.
You locked it in. Hell no, he locked it in.
And Trey locked out. Oh, no, he's good.
We're all staying 2.
He stumped us.
I was going to change to 3, but I'll go 2.
I have successfully stumped no one. I almost stumped John.
No, you can
because
let
he
John
almost-
I know that.
Three.
I know that because
Okay.
of Rodman. Rodman's why I know that answer. So
Y'all should have let him switch. But on a quick side note,
I was
because there was a random cluster of people, other interesting people that also have 2 All-NBAs now. Julius Randle, DeMarcus Cousins, Draymond Green, Marc Gasol, Karl Anthony Towns, James Worthy, and Pascal Siakam.
Wait a minute.
Pascal Siakam makes
James
that.
Worthy only
Pascal
got
Siakam's
James
been
Worthy
third
only
team
had 2.
and third team twice, right? For Siakam, I think he's
Yeah.
third team twice, right? Yeah.
And I want to add
Wow.
one quick last note to that, because we were doing 2, a couple honorable mentions that actually have 3, so they would have had more than all of these guys. Kyrie Irving, Jason Tatum, DeMar DeRozan, Gilbert Arenas, and DeAndre Jordan all have more All-NBAs than any of the guys.
Did you say Gilbert Arenas?
Yes.
Arenas. Gilbert Arenas. All right, Jay. All yours. It's between
All right,
me
ladies and gentlemen.
Mike.
I'm rounding it off tonight. Mine is
Should
actually
have let him change.
mine
I
is
was
a
okay. Y'all
full.
said no.
It's a full sports trivia questionnaire. So over the
Oh.
past about 40 years, since 1986,
Okay.
how many overall number 1 picks have won a championship with all, then this is taking into account all 4 major sports. So in all the 4 major sports, how many overall number 1 picks have won a championship with the franchise that drafted them?
Oh Jesus.
Oh my God.
With the franchise that drafted them.
That's a good one, Jay. Wow.
Is it 7, 10, 15, or 18?
7, because 7.
7 what?
10, 15, 18.
I think it's 10.
If I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna go down with the number.
With the numbers in the back.
I'm gonna
And you got 10 in the back.
I'm going to go.
You have 10 in the back.
Say that again,
I know.
Trey.
There's more 7s.
10.
So
He's
we
going
got
10.
7 for Mike, 10 for John, 10 for Trey. Locked in?
Yeah.
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 I have successfully stumped The squad, ladies and
15.
gentlemen. The answer is 15 players.
I almost went 15, and then I thought in my head,
15.
base. I was like, how many people?
A lot of hockey players, like
All right.
Crosby,
Well,
LeClavier, like a lot.
I thought
they don't leave as much. They don't leave as much.
It's down to Mike and I.
Man, I had a tiebreaker question too.
And you or Trey have to come up with like a tiebreaker question for us. And it has to be like a number like we gotta get close to.
Yeah.
So
Okay. I could think of
So
one
who's
real
got it?
quick.
You already got one, Jay?
Yeah, unless you have one, but I could just
No, I don't.
piggyback off my question. Let me see here. If it pulls up.
going down.
Wait, so what's the final points total here? What's the final points total?
2-2. You're at -2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at 2. Mike's at 2, obviously. And Trey's at -2. Pretty close week, fellas.
Yeah, we had a close one. We had a very close one.
John,
Trey,
you
you got
realize
one?
if you
You wanna
lose,
roll
you
with
did
it?
it to yourself, right?
If you got one, go ahead. I haven't got one yet.
What's that?
All right, hold on one second.
Said if you lose, you did it to yourself
Why?
because you gave me Ken Morrow.
Yeah, honestly, like I was running around all day and the name never rang a bell until I literally looked up and I said the answer. And I said it to you. I was like, Ken.
As soon as you started reading the question, I'm like, oh yeah, it's Ken Morrow. I was like, wait, where's Ken? But you put him later, so I'm like, wait a minute, is he not going to say Ken Morrow? This is going to screw me up. Was he the first? I was like, was he the first? Oh, okay, he said Ken Morrow. Okay.
Mikey said that with so much confidence. He was like, "Come on, guys, come on, guys."
And I thought the Messier part would trick him up after I said it. And I was like, nah, it's probably wouldn't. It's going to be Ken Morrow. If anyone knows Miracle more than I do.
What team has the most opening day wins in NFL history?
Wait, what? Well, tell us the team, and then we'll give you how many numbers.
What team has the most opening day wins?
But we can't get close that way.
You can, because you should be able to guess. One of you should get this right. It's like one of 3 teams.
How many teams?
If you boil it down, what team has the most opening day wins in NFL history?
Packers.
I actually have a guess, but I'm not in this.
Cowboys?
You win, John.
Oh, no way.
Cowboys. I knew you were going to get it right.
No, it's either Packers, Cowboys, or Bears, probably.
The Cowboys
Hold on,
have
I got you.
32 wins, 18 losses.
Hold on, I got you. Just hold on.
I don't even have a rank.
It worked. Mikey.
I didn't have one either.
Oh, you just knew you were
I knew I was going to lose.
you just knew you were
Let's see. My rant of the week is how much the NFL screwed over the. No, I'm joking. I'm excited for the Philadelphia Eagles season coming up because we can finally put all the doubters away by playing some of the toughest teams in the league this year. And, if we go out 500 and beat them, that's great. But I think it's definitely a way for everyone to finally say, hey, they're not playing anyone, or people got hurt. Like, I'm tired of that bullshit. Like, you play with who you have on the field regardless if they get hurt or not. Granted, the Niners got hurt in their playoff game. Yes, it did play a factor, but I still think we had the better team. Obviously, I'm biased in that, but I've heard a lot of people say that's the same thing. So, bring it on, 49ers. Let's go. Come on. I can't remember which week it is, but let's get it. Come on. You think you're tough, Debo? Let's go. Come on. Come to Philly again. We got you all day long, brother. Come on. I know you're going to score a touchdown or 2, but, we're still going to win. So, let's get it. Let's get it. Come on, boys. We got NFL season coming up in 5 months. Let's get it. That's my rant of the week.
5 whole months.
Oh, it'll count down quick because they're going to
calm down quick.
NFL.
It's already May, guys. It's already the end of May.
Yeah.
So, well, this has been a eventful week of Cinco Squad. Mike got his first place. Trey is moving on to the next round. Jay is going to be in a pool tomorrow, and I'm looking for a house. So, it's been a great week, fellas. We got a lot of great sports coming on.
RIP to the great Danny Crum, one of the best basketball coaches of all time.
Oh, he did pass away
100%.
yesterday,
I forgot
correct?
about that. Yeah.
Yes,
100%.
yes. So, any final thoughts before we sign off here, other than have a great weekend?
That was mine.
Okay.
Condolences to his family.
Yes.
Lakers finish this.
Heat, let's go. Put the heat on. And DJ
Yankees.
Khaled, you're not allowed at the arena anymore. You hold up traffic.
Yankees, you are somehow the only thing I have left. Please win things.
Win what?
Well,
A game would be nice.
At least they scored 2 runs tonight.
Perhaps 2.
I did tell my brother to take the over. I'm 2 for 2 so far, so hopefully he made some money tonight.
True.
Well, guys, we have a full weekend of sports with playoffs, and don't forget the PGA Championship is next week. But make sure you subscribe down below, and we'll be here next week, Thursday, 8:45 or pre-recorded. I don't know, but we'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend, everyone, and hopefully Jamie